Hello, guys. I hope you are doing great and welcome to your class number 3 of the QA software testing course. And my name is Shakran. I will be your mentor for this session. So, in the last two classes, we have come to know about a short little process who people are very scared to learn about, which we understood very easily in the two classes actually. That is known as SDLC, short for Software Development Life Cycle. And when we uh, learned about this software development life cycle, we had come to know about something like this, where, first of all, cycle starts here. Client, first of all, comes up with the CRS. CRS is taken and created into product backlog. Product owner does this part of the job. Once this is done, it is turned into BRS, Business Requirement Specification, which is done by the business analyst. Then in the design phase, the architect creates the design document. Then when the BRS and design is created, developers can start making the thing. Once the developers make each and every part, the testers start on testing it in every stage, such as dev environment, SIT, UAT, right? Then on, after all the testing phases, it goes to the production period where pre-production and production are done. Then on, when the product is finally launched in the market, then starts the maintenance process. If something goes wrong, while the end users are using the product, we will take care of it. That is the job for maintenance. Now, why is it a cycle or why is it a circle? If you can remember, I had mentioned in the previous class that suppose for this whole cycle, if we take the pen example, they provided us with information about the cap, the body, and the ballpoint. Now, for this, all the features that they have asked from us in the CRS, this is just the some certain features. Like there were only four features in that particular pen. Now they have given us, suppose, 6 months of time in order to make this whole thing, get it ready, and release it to the market so end users can use it, right? They have given us 6 months of time in order to complete this whole cycle. Now, first time the product is released in the market after 6 months, that should be our version 1. Version 1. Okay? Only four features the pen had. Now, after 6 months, when the product is in the market, the client doesn't stop there. They come up with some more features. Suppose this time they add six more features to the pen. This time the pen will have more color options. The cap will be designed differently, or maybe the ballpoint, instead of ballpoint, there will be a gel pen option, something like this. And they add new features to enhance or update the product. And in next 6 months, they want us to create the updated version, and like after another 6 months, after 12 months of periods in total, we will be able to release another version in the market with the updated features that the client has provided us after the launch of the first version. It will be version 2, something like this. So in case of softwares and applications, whatever we see, like if I open my Firefox browser, for instance, if I go here and from the help section, I go to about Firefox, it will show me a certain version number here, like this. See, there's a version number 139. It has been updated like 139 times. Now it is the current version, how it looks like, however it works like. Okay, so it is why, well, we have to update our applications after a certain period of time. Like after every few months, we need to update our Messenger or Gmail application that we use on our phones, or maybe Facebook, or different kinds of application, whatever you use. They provide updates every now and then. So what those updates actually mean is they have enhanced some features, and now if you want to use it on your phone or on your laptop or whatever device, you need to update it. So you can use the enhanced features, the extra features that has been added to the next version, right? So this goes, if you have understood the point with versions, now I hope you'll understand the version thing, why there are different versions. And if I go to, suppose if I go to Chrome, this is my Chrome browser. From here, if I go to help section and about Google Chrome, you'll see different type of version number here. There will be like the numbers will be separated by three dots. So for the version number, you will understand the first portion here. This is the version number. 136 times it has been updated or relaunched, and we enhance the features. And this one, the last part here, this is the build version. I mean, it starts from 0, 1, then 2, then 3, and 4, 5, and it's in this numeric order. So what happens when it was only 1, the build version was 1, it was created for the first time, but there were some bugs and issues that needed to be fixed. So another build was made. So that was number 2. So every time uh, it is fixing something, it is and creating something new, the version number changes. Every time something is fixed, the version number is changed. So for version 136, it was built like 114 times in order to fix different issues. So this is what we mean by version numbers. Okay, don't confuse yourself about anything. Just follow my words here. You just need to know there are some things known as versions for different kinds of software and applications. We already know what kinds of applications or softwares there might be: web applications, mobile applications, and desktop applications. This application that I'm using is certainly a desktop application, Google Chrome, the desktop version. I can also use it on my phone, right? So, that's what I mean by version number. Now, Uh, this is a particular confluence space, an actual scenario of what you will be dealing with in your work environment. So today we'll be following this confluence space to gather actual practical knowledge actually. So I could carry on with different slides and everything, but the problem with that is you'll be jammed with different theories and all of this studying. I don't want you to go through that. No, I want you to see everything practically so that you can have proper understanding and better knowledge of each and every topic. This will give you more knowledge. All right. So, first of all, getting back to my topic that I had started here, every time the product is updated, the version number changes. So, suppose 6 months, for a 6 month period of time, we create the first version. Then from the next 6 months time, we create the next version. So this is how the cycle keeps going on. This is why it is known as the software development life cycle. It's known as cycle, right? Cycle. Why is it a cycle? Because it keeps on going in this same manner. So now there are some tiny little variations in this basic procedure. Whatever you have learned till now, this is everything that is mandatory in the software development lifecycle, particularly in the agile method. I had told you about the agile process at the end of the previous class. Maybe there was a little bit too much information for the last class, so I guess you might have skipped this part. But I did mention a method or a type of process actually that we follow. That is agile. I will be coming on to more of this. Just wanted to refresh your memories. What agile means is working parallelly. I mean, on one hand, you will have user story one and two that are first been made and already gone through the further stage of the process. But user story three and four might not be created yet. They are only being now created and they need to be pre-refined in the pre-refinement session, made smart, then go to the refinement session, and then go to the development stage. So I will get on to that. Just remember, working parallelly, this situation is actually known as agile method. So what kind of variations am I talking about here? I told you in the previous classes that only once after user story is made, product owner can create the product backlog, and then from the product backlog, BA creates the BRS, which stands for Business Requirement Specification. Now, in today's class, we will get to know about a whole new set of document, which almost refers to as this BRS, but even though they sound pretty much the same, they are actually different documents. What I'm talking about here is BRD. So BRS, BRD, almost the same, right? Business Requirement Specification. But for D, here it stands for Business Requirement Document. B and R remain the same. D stands for document. Now, what is the difference between both of them? And why does this actually come into play in the first place? All right. So now I need you to understand where this comes into play in the whole process. Even though these two names are pretty much similar, you will come across these names in different kinds of companies. Not all of them, but in some companies. Okay. So this BRD thing comes into play even before the user stories are made. This comes into play somewhere here. I'll change the color for you. In the timeline between the CRS and the product backlog being created, BRD is created. Now you might be asking why or how. Like, why didn't you tell this about this to us before in the previous classes? I didn't mention this before because it doesn't actually happen in all the companies or all the situations. In some cases, for some companies, you might see there is another document named BRT. Then you might question yourself, oh my God, I didn't know anything about this document. What is this now? Why did my instructor didn't teach me this? So, so for you to have all the knowledge about every key detail and uh, situation based documents such as this one, BRD. In some situations, you will need this, in some situations, you won't. What could be the situations? I'm explaining it to you now. Just know that this is created here before the product backlog is created. Now, what does this BRD actually contain? BRD contains two main things. First of all, let me mark this out for you guys. Okay, so BRD, right? Business requirement document. What is there in this business requirement document? Two main things. SRS. Another thing is FRD. SRS stands for System Requirement. Let me write it in short. I hope you understand. Specifications. For specifications, I'll write specs. Okay. For FRD, it stands for Functional Requirement. Same. For D, it is Document. So Functional Requirement Document. These are the two main parts of the BRD. Once you have the SRS and FRD, you can combine these both and make the BRD, right? How? I will show you practically in the Confluence space as just shown you. Okay. Now, your confusion might arise. When do I call the BRD and when do I call the BRS? So this might be your situation. You want to differentiate between BRS and BRD. First thing you need to know, this comes after product backlog, and this one comes before product backlog, right? Before product backlog. I told you before that BRS contains two main parts, technical requirements specification. Another thing was functional requirement specification, right? But in the BRS, we observed that there are also two parts that would be SRS and FRD, functional requirement document, right? Okay, now there are three different things in the SRS, which will be, first of all, first type of thing will be functional requirements, not specification, only requirements. Okay, Fun, what was the spelling? Don't mind me for the spelling mistakes. I make them a lot. Second type will be non-functional requirements. Yes, there is also non-functional requirements. Previously, we had known only about functional and technical requirement specifications. Now, there is another word for you guys. There is a non-functional requirement as well. What is that? Let me explain to you through an example. Just for now, know that there are three types of things in the SRS: functional, non-functional, technical. Got my point? Now, for functional things, if we think about a software now, so previously we had talked about a mere pen, simple basic pen, ballpoint pen. Now, if we turn every term or the words with software terms such as a web application, such as Amazon. For instance, take Amazon. So let me go to Amazon for you. This is the Amazon store homepage, right? So the functional requirements can be the label should be on top, as we talked about the pen label. This is not the label, actually, this is the logo. The logo should be on top left corner. There should be a search bar on the top so customers can search for specific products, right? There should be a language selection option. There should be a sign in option. There should be an order section. There should be a cart section. Cart section so that I can see which products I have selected in order to purchase, right? Sign in section, it should have a sign in or sign up section so I can create an account and browse through different products, right? It should have all these products and services in the homepage so that a customer can browse through them, right? These things are the things, the web page in front of you right now. It is simply its functionalities, what it does. In this web page or website, whatever you call it, this is a type of software, web application software. Amazon is a web application software, but the browser Chrome is a desktop application software. So here we are talking about the web application, the Amazon store, the website that is here. Okay. So now we know what are the functional things. However, the system is created here. Every functionality that it can do, basically the what. If you question yourself, what things can the web application or the software do? I will simply ask the question, what it does, what things does it do? The answers should bring out your functional things or the functional requirements, what things it should do. Okay? Now, if I think about what could be the non-functional things, for example, for the web application, suppose from which devices can you use it from? Can you use it from mobile and laptop or old laptop, or can you use it from only either one? This type of thing. This can be one point. Another point could be how many people, how many people can browse at once. Like there could be a number of people, a large number of people, like hundreds and thousands. How many people can the web application actually handle? Like how many people can actually browse in the web application at a time, right? There could be such kind of functionality requirements. Or you might think another example, what could it be? Okay, so for how long can, instead of people, I'll use user. How long can user browse? For how long? I mean, suppose you are logged into your Amazon store account. Now you're not buying anything, you're just going through different products and browsing through different categories, just doing your stuff, not buying anything, but you're browsing the web application. So for how long you can do this thing? So does any of these things refer to the uh, things that the web application does? I mean, does any of these things refer to the functionalities or what tasks it completes? The search thing, the products on the homepage thing. These are the functionalities. If you click on it, it will do certain behavior. But where it will run, in how many countries we will release it, or how many people can use it at once, for how long can user browse through it, these type of things. Does they relate to any type of functionality of the application? No. So that is why these are non-functional requirements. These are also requirements, but these are non-functional in accordance to the application, from the point of the application. And the technical things I've already told you before, tools that might be needed, materials that might be needed, those kind of things, size and etc. Those kind of things that are needed to make the web application. So in some cases, this might not be included in the SRS, and sometimes it might be. It depends. Company to company, it varies. Okay. So now we know what is here in the SRS, right? The first part of the BRD. Another thing that is here, that is FRD. Now this will be a very big document for you guys, because as we have seen in, like we'll be seeing in the other documents such as BRS or TRS, FRS, these things, these will be like short documents. It will be at max 10, 20, 30, 50 pages. Okay. But this FRD, functional requirement document, is almost like a whole book. It's like a book which can contain more than 300 pages as well. Why? Because it is a in-depth, detailed requirement document. How the things will actually work. If I ask how things will work, and for SRS, for the functional things in the SRS document, we thought about what the web application does, right? Now, in the FRD, functional requirement document, in this whole book, where everything is mentioned in details with pictures and everything. So here we can question this thing, how it works, exactly how it works, specifically, all the specific details. For SRS functional requirement things, we observe the question, what things does it actually do? Now we know what things it does, but how it does. Suppose I know there will be a button for signing up to create a new account, such as there is a new for sign up or registration. Here they call it start here. If I'm a new customer, I can start here. When I click on start here, it will bring me to a page. This is a registration page basically. Create account or sign up or whatever you call it. This is a registration page. So in the SRS or the system requirement specification, the functionality may be mentioned as there should be a dedicated registration page so that I can create my account. Simple as that. But in the functional requirement document, everything will be mentioned in details. In order for us to go to the registration page, first of all, we need to have this home page, right? the URL for the home page. Then when we go to the home page, we will see this kind of page. On the top left side corner, we will find an option for sign in. When we hover over this option, we can see a start here option. When we click on the start here option, we can go to this registration page. Here I have to fill out my name, mobile number or email, password, and confirm my password and continue to register to Amazon. Okay, this is the way or how it will be working. Do you understand my point? In the second, I okay, for the first attempt that I tried to make you understand with, I just told you there should be a sign up option from where I can create a new account. Just that, only that basic idea. But in the functional requirement document, it will be mentioned as such. First, you need to have URL, then you go to homepage. From homepage on this side, you will have the sign in option. From the sign in, you will have start here, everything in specific details. Okay, what you will actually see, what will be in front of your eyes, how will you be navigating through all these things, all these related details. Okay, so now if I go to my OneNote Blackboard over here, I hope now you understand what is SRS, what is FRD. They are mentioned in the business requirement document, but TRS and FRS are whole different things. I told you guys the BRS contains different user stories, such as this is the whole BRS. There can be like 100 user stories or 200 user stories, but for our easy understanding in the previous classes, we accounted for 4 user stories, right? 4 complete user stories, not the ones in the product backlog, but the complete ones or the 100% ones. 100% ones. Now, what do the 100% user stories contain? First of all, the basic user story upfront, basic user story, right? Then there was something named scenario. Then there was acceptance criteria. Then there was also a technical part that we skip because we don't need to work with that. But it is mentioned here. Now, combining all these things, this creates a 100% user story for each basic user story, right? This is referred as, suppose, 100% user story. I've selected the second one here, right? So I can write user story 2. In such a manner, in short, we refer to them as one user story in particular. We don't need to mention it 100% every time, because if it is in the BRS, it has to be 100%. It has to be a perfect user story. Okay. Oh, there are two types of things here: the functional part and the technical part. We will focus on the functional things, and the dev architects will focus on the technical things. So by user stories in the BRS, I mean this thing. There could be 4 like this, could be 10, could be 20, 50, 100, 200, doesn't matter. There will be lots of user stories, okay, in the BRS. So the difference in BRD and BRS is the user stories are somewhat similar to the functionalities. What does the web application do? These things, right? These are almost the same things, but they are not mentioned as user stories. They are just pointed out. Like, okay, just till now, I want you to understand this variation. There is something known as BRT, which contains SRS and FRT, and there is BRS that is made after product backlog is created. Now, let me go to the actual Confluence situation that you will be facing in your real work environments. Suppose this is a project, your store version 1. This is a particular e-commerce web application such as Amazon, eBay, or Walmart, some like those. A particular web online store, okay? Could be anything named different. If you think of like local uh, online stores in Bangladesh, there is daraz.com and there is chaldal.com. There are a lot of web applications like online stores. So this is an e-commerce web application we are trying to make here. This is our project. We will try to understand each and everything from this project. Okay. So here on the left side, you can see the menu bar that I've been talking to you about. There should be a menu bar over here. Now, if you focus a little bit on the menu section, here you'll have the project name, your store version 1 that you are currently working on. Under that, there will be all the other documents that we have been discussing till now. Now, there is another thing that you need to keep in mind, that is this high level documents. High level documents, it it doesn't actually mean the hierarchy, like higher authorities only will have the access to this thing, something like that. No, high level document means something like a type of document which everyone will have access to, like all the team members, all the people who are related to making this whole project. Every Each and every team member will have access to these high level documents. Below the high level documents, the sections you can see here, such as the project plan or your story requirements, BRD, all of these things come under the high level documents because everyone will have access to all of these documents and sections. They are all under the high level document section. Okay. Now, if I go to version 1 here, okay, there is something you will see as your store requirements and other details. Okay, let me drop down the menu here. From here, you will see the business requirement specification, epics. There's something known as epics. I will come to that later on in today's class. Product backlog, which we had discussed so much about. Project documentation, this is something you don't need for now. You don't need to know for now. Technical business requirement specification, the TRS, I mean the technical stuff, everything related to technical requirement specification, right? So this is also a separate document here. Design document created by the architects. Environment-based URLs, we haven't learned this about this yet. We will during this class. Okay, for this section, we know about BRS, product backlog, technical requirement specification, that is a part of the business requirement specification or the BRS, the technical part of it. Okay, design documents, we are aware of this. We don't know about this project document and environment based URL things. And also, there's something called epics. I will come on to this part later on. First of all, let me show you what actually the BRD looks like and what the client requirement specification looks like. So as I've told you before, BRD isn't actually uh, created in every company or all scenarios. It depends on how your client requirement specification is. Okay. If it is not clear enough, to make it more clear, we need to create this BRD document. By we, I mean the business analyst creates this whole thing where the product owner and the client help him or assist him. So if I now go to the main topic of our today's class, what is actually a client requirement specification or a CRS? It is also known as CRD, is a client requirement document, but it is not as different as BRS and BRD. Don't get confused. These are the same things. Client CRS and CRD are the same things, just in different companies, they use different names. Okay. Now, mainly client provides this CRS to the product owner. Okay, we know that. But in real life scenario, you will see that the product owner and the business analyst help the client to prepare the CRS. Now, this is something new. Till now, we've known that client comes up with the CRS ready-made with themselves, right? Then it is handed over to the PO who creates the user stories and product backlog. Then so on goes the process. But now, in real life scenarios, sometimes we will see that the client doesn't even have so much of knowledge by himself or themselves to create the simple CRS for us. They don't even know how to create the document that they can provide us so we can have an idea, assumption of what they actually want. So, in order to create this, they take help from the product owner plus the business analyst. They have different walkthrough meetings, informal meetings. Through all these meetings, they talk about the CRS, what features they actually want. Suppose they tell them this basic idea that I want an online store. What kind of online store? They don't know. How it will be created? They don't know. They just want an online store. They want to put products in it so customers can browse through them and select different products to purchase. This is their main idea. Now, product owner and business analysts give him other ideas that do you want to include a search option in it? Do you want to create a sign in option or sign up button to create an account in it? How do you want to add a cart option or how do you want the payment options to be? Let's all these things. They discuss about all these things in order to create this CRS. And this CRS gives us an idea about what kind of things, what types of requirements are in the CRS or in the requirements client provides. The types of things that are mentioned here are the functional things. Why? Are there any non-functional things mentioned in the CRS? Suppose for the pen example, we had told you that the pen will be able to write. There will be a transparent cap through which we will be able to see the pen body and the color of it. There will be a label on the pen body. The label should uh, show the company brand on, like the logo, right? And these were all the things the pen could actually do. Everything regarding to the functionalities of the pen, right? Was there anything non-functional such as for a web application we can think of on which browser the application will run on, or how many users can use the application at a time, or which devices it can run on, right? were these type of things mentioned in the CRS? Non-functional type of things? I don't think so. So there were no non-functional requirements mentioned. Only the functional things were mentioned in the CRS, right? Now, if we have understood till this point over here, now imagine this. The client doesn't even have so much of knowledge that they can create the CRS by themselves. This is just a overall um, basic information about the features, what kind of features their application will have. They can't simply just write it down and give it to us. They need the help of the product owner and business analyst in this matter. So, in some cases, you will see that along with the CRS, the um, things that I've mentioned in the BRD, like SRS, all the information about the SRS and FRD are already mentioned in the client requirement specification. Some clients will bring out the CRS in such a manner they will have provided all the features accordingly. They have created the CRS by themselves, and also it might include the SRS and FRD already built in it. We don't need to create it externally to have a proper idea of the application itself. Okay, functionalities, non-functionalities, technicalities, how it will operate, these kind of things. These things might be included in the CRS itself. So in this case, as per we have learned in the previous classes, the product owner can take this document and break it into user stories in order to create product backlog. But in the case where I've just mentioned, the client is taking the assistance of PO and BA. So how can we expect them to create the SRS, the system requirement specification, or the functional requirement document by themselves to include in the CRS document? They simply cannot. Okay. So before creating the product backlog from the CRS, between this time, business analyst starts on creating these things, SRS and FRD. Combining everything, it makes the BRD. Okay, SRS, FRD, and along with the client requirement specification, I mean CRS, this makes a BRD, business requirement document. Clear? So this is created before the product backlog is created. Why? Let's see why. First of all, let me open the Confluence space. So here you can see under the BRD section, there is the client requirement specification, as I've just told you. Okay. There is also system requirements specification, or you can call it software requirement specification. In short, SRS. And there is also functional requirement document. Okay. So if we have a look on this client requirement specification, the CRS, created by the client, John, okay, assisted by product owner Steve and business analyst Sunita, and the version number is 1. This is the first version. We haven't released anything yet. This is the first version we are working with. As I've mentioned previously about version 1, 2, 3, this is where the version thing comes into play. We are working with version 1. All right. So first of all, in this CRS, it will provide an overview what is actually the document about? The client is looking for a simple and user-friendly website that can provide a seamless or like smooth experience to its users. Okay, they are looking for a website. Okay, smooth experience for users. Okay, the website will be used to showcase various products and services that the client offers, just as like Amazon. These are different products and services, right? The client, different clients are providing these offers that are being showcased in this website, such as that client wants a user-friendly website that will showcase the products and services of the client. Goals, what are the goals? Create a website that can provide seamless user experience. Okay, just the basic idea, just from your, you don't need any technical knowledge to understand these things. Just an overview. In short sentences, they have provided us the goals, showcase products and services offered by the client. Okay, increase engagement and drive traffic, drive more traffic to the website. I mean, once you visit the website, you might share it with your friends and family circle, and they might visit the website. So it should increase the engagement like that. Increase customer retention by providing useful information. If suppose you get all the information of a product in a online web store that you go, you will definitely like the amount of information that is given there. You will have the proper knowledge of what is the product, if you are willing to buy it or not, if there are sufficient information given. Suppose there is only the price tag given under the picture of the product, that will not give you sufficient information, right? So there should be useful information so the customer retention is increased. Okay, these are the basic goals. Okay, no such details, no extensive procedures here, only the basic goals. Features, there will be a features option, like the features part over here. There will be an overview, then goals, features, and there will also be constraints. Constraints, if I use a substitute for this word, it could be limitations, it could be boundaries, what kind of limitations I have during the whole process. Okay, so for the features part, they have included responsive design that works on all devices. All devices might include mobiles, desktop, laptop, tablets, everything. Okay, it should work on all devices. This is one feature. Easy navigation and search functionality. There should be a search option on the top like this, and navigation should be easy, like how you go from homepage to sign in to different products, such kind of things. And then comes the detailed information about products and services, which I've just told you. Okay, contact information and forms for inquiries and feedback. There should be contact information feature so that users can provide their own email or suppose phone numbers or fill up forms to give us feedbacks or to inquire about, like ask about different products, if it is available or not, if the size is available or not, something like this. We have must have a way to contact our customers. Not we won't have the way. Actually, the customers will have a way to contact us to get different informations about the products. Okay, by us I mean the clients. Simple as that. Social media integration. There can be your social web pages mentioned in your website, such as your Facebook uh, web page or your Instagram page or your TikTok page. These kind of pages can be mentioned in the features of the website or the web application. Social media integration to increase engagement. This is what it stands for. For constraints or limitations, we can see there will be budget for project limited. The website should be completed within specific timeline. As I've mentioned before, if the client provides us 6 months, we have to make it in 6 months. If they provide us 10 months, we have to make it in 10 months, not more than that. The client requires regular updates on the progress of the project. This is also a limitation. By regular updates, it may mean weekly, it may mean daily, it may mean monthly. So if it is daily, every day, whatever we have done, we need to give updates to the client of what is the progress till now on the project. They will also provide an example photo, like this is a basic overview or a sample of how the web application or the website will look like. Okay, this is very simple. This is a very simple photo with no such much details, but this gives an idea. Somehow they created with the help of the business analyst or by themselves, somehow, doesn't matter. They also try to provide a picture of what they actually want. All right. So this is what is mentioned in the CRS. Now, if I go to the next document that I told you about, the SRS, same, we can see who created it. This time, the SRS is created by the business analyst, assisted by product owner and the client. Product owner, I know he has some knowledge, he can help. The client, why the client? Because they own the product, right? So they have the right to know what are the requirement specification or the system requirement specifications for this product. So business analyst discusses with the PO and the client and comes up with this document that is named SRS. What is in this SRS? First of all, there will be an overview. What actually this document is, the software requirement specification outlines the functional and non-functional requirements for the demo website. Okay, so this is what the SRS is all about. From the overview, we get an idea. Now, going to the functional requirements. The website should have a responsive design that works on all devices. Okay, same as we have seen in the CRS, users should be able to browse through products and services offered by client. Same as mentioned in CRS, user should be able to search for specific products and services. Also from the CRS, website should have forms and inquiries. We also have gone through this. The website should have social media integration. Okay, all these things are now gathered from the CRS. You can guess, right? So these are the functional things, how, like what the website will actually do. But what about the non-functional things? There are different types of non-functional things. First thing first, there can be performance related. By performance related things, what do I mean? The website should be optimized for fast load times and smooth navigation. Once you click on each button, suppose you press on the home logo button, you press on this button, you press on the card button. Every time you click on each button, how much time it takes to respond or to take you to the next page. All right, how much seconds or milliseconds or nanoseconds it might be, how much time it takes to load the next page, right? The website should be able to handle high traffic and concurrent user sessions. This means there might be 100 users logged in at a time, right? There might be 1,000 users, there might be 10,000, there might be 1 million users logged in the website at a time. So the website should be able to handle this much users or In IT terms, we call it high traffic when they are browsing all together at a time. The website should have a caching mechanism to improve performance. The caching mechanism, this thing is a very interesting thing actually. For example, when you actually buy a certain product from an online store, then afterwards, when you go to use your different social accounts such as Facebook or Instagram, Messenger, whatever you use, you will notice that from the web store that you purchased something, it sends you different advertisements or suggested different posts uh, for same type of products. So you can see those type of products. If you want to buy them, you can again go to those web store, I mean that particular web store to buy another product. So this is actually what this actually means, that everything you do in the website, what which type of products you browse through, what categories you go through, what type of product you purchase, the website should store this type of data so that they can advertise you later on through your social accounts. So this is something that we sometimes get worried about. Oh no, our devices, our mobile phones can hear and see what we are doing or saying. So this is something like that. It stores the data that we have created in the website and gives us results accordingly. So this is caching mechanism. There will be lots of things regarding to security, such as, see, CAPTCHA. You might be familiar with CAPTCHA, the thing where you see like there are different pictures in a square box like this. Now from here you need to select pictures of buses or pictures of fire hydrants, something like this. Once you uh, pass this test, it lets you do certain things. Suppose before logging in, to make sure you are not a robot, it uses this CAPTCHA verification. So this thing, this verification process that it follows, this is known as CAPTCHA. Okay, there are other security related uh, requirements in the non-functional requirements as well. Overall, it will give you a basic idea of what the non-functional requirements are. Compatibility. This is another important thing. On which type of browsers you can use this web application or website. Can you use it on Chrome? Can you use it on Firefox? Can you use it on Safari? Can you use it on all of them? It needs to be mentioned. On which devices can you use your website? Can you use it on laptop? Can you use it on mobile? Can you use it on desktop? These kind of things. The compatibility, assumption, and dependencies. Suppose the development team uh, that the website will be developed using modern web development technologies, including HTML, JavaScript. These are languages. Okay, developers use different kind of coding languages. So, in a sense, they depend on the coding languages and the tools they need to use in order to create the website, right? So, this is a kind of dependency if all the tools are working properly or not, this particular thing. Now, we know that once the developer creates a certain module, in the pen example, we came across this thing like first the cap is created. When it is created, then it is handed over to us testers to test it, right? But before making this cap, can we actually test this thing? No, right? So in this sense, we actually depend on the developers in order to test the particular part of the website. So this can be also a dependency. Assumptions and dependencies. This is what actually is included, the overall idea that gives you about the assumptions and dependencies. I will try to scroll slowly from here so you can take a pause and read all these things by yourself from the video. Mm, And don't worry, you will be provided with access to all these things once you go through class 4. I most probably you will be provided with the access to all of these things. You can have a look in details what I am showing you guys over here right now. Okay, so this here goes the SRS part. Now, if I show you what did I mean by a whole book, like what is the functional requirement document where it mentions all the specific details step by step in detailed manner, right? So when we go to this document, first of all, who created it? Same business analyst, assisted by product owner, client, version, your store version 1, reviewed by the whole team. Functional requirement document, this thing and the SRS, these things will be reviewed by the whole team because everyone needs to know what they will be working on, right? But it is created and by the business analyst and assisted by the PO and client. Then, after creating it, it is sent to all the team members. It isn't actually sent. Upon creating it, they don't just publish it to the Confluence space like here, as you can see. No. First of all, they send it to all the team members. They review it. They put their opinions on it. If they have to fix anything, if there is anything that needs to be included externally, so they include all those things and finalize it. So once it is finalized, then it is published here in a Confluence space like this. Okay. So now let's see in the FRD document. In the document itself, first of all, you will see the overview, a little bit information, a basic touch up or basic details of the homepage, how the homepage will actually perform or what it will do. The homepage should showcase the client's products and services. The homepage should have a search bar for users to find specific products and services. So this is goes for homepage. There could be another page, product page. In the product page, it should display detailed information about the product. And the product page should have a form for users to inquire about the product. Like if they need to ask about anything, it should have such a form for that. Contact page, social media integration. So there can be a lot of different pages in this web application. For now, we have, for your easy assumption, for examples, we have included these 4 pages here. There can be a lot of other pages as well. So this is not the actual functional requirement document. This is just a short overview of the whole thing, what is coming up inside the main document. So if you look at over here, there is a main PDF version with pictures included. So this is the PDF version. If you simply click on it, it will open the functional requirements document for you. This is for your front end. Everything that you see in on your screen, suppose this is my screen right now. Everything that I can see and touch on, like this is the front end of my whatever application I'm using. Right now, I am using different multiple applications. There is a system application, system software that is Windows. There is a browser that is a desktop application. In the browser, I am using a web application like this one. So there are multiple applications or softwares going on here. Whatever the buttons that I can see, such as these tabs, these bookmarks, all these things that I can see, these are like different options I have. I can click on anything, it will do accordingly. Like if I click on the close button here, it closes the tab. So there is a coding for each and every action that I do here. Like for URL, for this new tab option, for every button that I click on, there is a coding in the backend. So the backend is not mentioned in this functional requirement document, only this is for the front end. Here you will see prepared by who have worked on this document to prepare it. Sometimes you will see this just for mentioning the mere names who have prepared this document takes like 2 to 3 pages. Like so many people work on this thing altogether to finalize this whole big document actually. So first thing first, it provides an overview. What is actually this document all about? There will be a requirement section where all the requirements will be shortly briefed about which uh, languages you might need to use or which tools there might be needed to use, such kind of things. Requirements, in short, for your store front end. Okay, so for in the front end, first of all, they have inserted a picture over here, a demo picture of what it should look like upon creating it. This is not an actual version. This is just a demo, what it should actually look like. Okay, so in the homepage section, in the navigation of the shop, here we come for the homepage section. Everything is mentioned in details. The header section, the top portion of your website, like here, the header section would be this blue portion that you can see over here. So in the website, same as that, for Amazon, this black part here should be the header, right? So what things should be there in the header section? Let's see. Store logo, currency block, shopping cart, search box. I hope you can see this document, guys. Let me make it bigger for you. So links for customers to go to homepage, wish list, my account. Links should be added here. Telephone numbers should be there. My account uh, option should be there from where customers can register or log in from. Same as like Amazon. Instead of my account, there is an accounts and lists option. From here, they can log in and register to their account, right? So somewhat like that. So everything is mentioned in specific details how the things will work. Clicking on this logo, store logo. First of all, clicking on this logo, how it will behave actually. It is mentioned over here. It will direct the customer back to the home page of the store, right? So what it means is when you click on this logo of Amazon, like here, it is taking me to the home page. If I go to returns and orders, from here I click on Amazon logo. It takes me back to the home page, right? So like this, they want it to be like that. Currency block should be there. You can select the currencies as your convenience. The customers, basically the users should be able to do that. Shopping cart option should be there. Displays the number of items purchased, the total price of the order. Clicking the button will contain all of the products added to the cart and an option to view cart or checkout. So we are having some more details on how the things will actually work. All right. Now we get that there are more details actually mentioned over here, but just from this part over here, have a look. This has mentioned how things will work. Okay, where clicking on the logo, where it will direct the customer to things like this. From here, will we be able to make the product properly and fully? I guess not. Why? Because there are still some more details missing. Like it is mentioned what and how the website will operate or how it will work. But that we have seen in the user stories from the user's perspective or user's point of view, it is mentioned step by step how the user will enter the URL, go to the homepage of my store, and then they will click on the logo or they will click on the sign up option or account option in order to go to the registration page so that they can create a login. They can create a new profile for themselves. Once they create a profile, there will be login option for them so that they can put their ID and password in order to log in. So these kind of stuff, step by step, what comes after what. These things aren't mentioned over here. And also, there should be acceptance criteria. How do we know this is actually ready to go in the market? How will we test the specific parts? How will we test the homepage? How will we, what will we be comparing to if there is no acceptance criteria? We need to compare the outcomes with the acceptance criteria to see if they match. If they match, it will send it to the done status. If they don't, if there are any issues or bugs or defects, we will send it to the developers to fix it again. So, in order to do all that, we don't have anything here. We just know how what it does and how it will work. That's all. In SRS, we got to know about short details of what could be the functionalities, non-functionalities, and in the functional requirement document, FRD, we got to know how, exactly how things will work in the website or web application. Okay, till now, I hope you guys are clear. Let me scroll this for you guys as well so you can take a closer look on it. Right? And there is another thing that is mentioned in the high level documents that you must know about. It is this thing, project plan. I hope you can see this project plan. Here there is the PRD where CRS, SRS, and FRD were included. So what is there in the project plan actually? This is also a high level document, which means we will have access to this document as well. So this is very important for us because all uh, the plan related to the project, not technical plans, but who will work on this project, how much time would we need, like the project goal to develop a fully functional e-commerce website for your store that meets customer needs and requirements, increases sale, and enhances customer experience. This is our project goal. Project timeline will be given. Suppose the time we have to release the first version is 9 months. Budget will also be given. How much is the budget for this version or the project? Who will be the team members? Project manager, business analyst, UX, UI designer, aka the architects, front end developers, back end developers. There are two types of developers, okay, and QA testers. There are different types of testers included here as well, manual automation included. Now, project phases and deliverables. What will be the phases in this project? So there will be planning phase. Planning means this thing, the project planning that is now being done. Before this whole document was created, it was in the planning phase, right? So who created it? The project manager creates it with the assistance of product owner and the client. In this case, business analyst doesn't have to do anything with this thing because the the project manager is creating this thing. Project manager, I told you before, he does the hiring part of the process and also he creates this project plan. So in this project plan, all the team members are included. Which teams will be included in this project? Planning phase. Then comes the requirement analysis phase, where we talk about all the requirements, gather all the requirements. Then, upon creating the BRS, finalizing it, then we start the design phase. Then, one by one, development phase, testing phase. What types of testing be we will conduct? Functional testing, usability testing, performance testing, security testing, many types of testing. We will come on to these later. There are lots of types of testings we will do. You don't need to know that now. Just know there is a phase, particularly known as testing phase, where all the testing is done. Now, develop deployment phase. The deployment phase. This is a crucial thing you need to understand. What do we mean by deploy actually? Deploy. The word is deploy. What do we mean by deploy? Okay. So, for instance, as I was explaining it to you before, the developer had to create the gap first, then give it to the tester in order for us testers to test it, right? Now, by giving it, what do I mean? Give it. So, for example, you can think of it like this. Suppose you are giving an exam. In an exam hall, you are giving an exam. This is your uh, test paper, blank test paper. Now, in order for the examiner to validate your test, like give you a result, you first need to answer something, right? If there is nothing on your uh, test paper, how will the examiner give you points or numbers? So these things that you have in mind, you have the knowledge, right? You have prepared for the exam. In the examination hall, the things you will write, you can refer to these writings. You are putting your knowledge into the test paper, right? So this can be referred as deployment. You are deploying your knowledge to this test paper. So the examiner can validate your test and give you numbers. So this is actually what deployment means. They need to deploy it after making each certain part. If we take, suppose the developers have now created the sign up option. Now they need to deploy the URL or the link. In local terms or in casual terms, we know these things as links, right? What we put on our browser to go to different websites. So this is the URL. Developers need to deploy the URL for us testers to have access to it and then test it accordingly. So this is where the deployment comes into play. Okay, I hope you understand. If you don't, I want you to pause this video, go through this again, and I hope you will understand. If you still don't understand, then drop a message or put a comment. I'll try to respond. So now, going back to our confluence phase, this is what deployment means. Deployment phase will be there. Project management approach. What approach will be following? Agile methodology. I already told you about agile methodology. I will be explaining it to you more. Basically, it means doing everything parallel so we can uh, save our time and effort. Scrum framework, we'll get to know about that as well. Daily stand-up meetings will be there. Sprint planning and review meetings will happen. Sprint backlog and down chart tracking, this will be done. Continuous improvement and optimization, this will be done. Like, how will we actually continue, how will we execute everything, the approach we follow, the method we apply, these kind of things. Project risk. There could be potential project risk as well. C, there could be technical risk, such as system failure. Sometimes it might happen that system crashes, it it does servers goes down, data might be lost. Suppose there are different types of data stored in the website, such as the login credentials of the customers. If this data is lost, then the website will not be able to recognize the user ID and password when a customer puts it into the login page. So this could be a risk, potential risk. Take stakeholder risk. What is this? Changes in stakeholder requirements. This actually means changing the requirements frequently. Suppose you have created the home logo, you have created the search bar, you have created the account option, everything is done. Now, the stakeholder comes at some point in the middle and says, don't use this logo, I want you to use another logo. All this thing that we have done till now goes into vain because we need to replace this logo with another one. That means everything we needed to do. First of all, the developers needed to do the coding. Uh, no, first of all, there was uh, all these things were mentioned in the SRS and the FRD, and then the product backlog was created based on the user stories, right? Then, uh, uh, upon creating the PRS and all the requirement analysis, we had fixed that this will be the logo. Then started the sprint. Now, upon creating the logo, the stakeholder or the client comes up and says, "I need to change the logo. I don't want this logo. I don't want a different logo." Then we need to do all those things again. So this is a potential risk. Okay, stakeholder conflicts. Sometimes there might be conflicts in between stakeholders, such as product owner and business analyst, or between client and product owner. So, because they want to change this in the middle of the process, there will be a good amount of conversation or conflict between them in order to resolve this situation. So that is what it means by stakeholder conflicts. Resource risk, storage, shortage of skilled resources. Like if you are not a good tester, you won't be able to test the project perfectly. So this can be a resource risk. Tools that you need to use, they are not updated properly. They can be a resource risk. Budget risk. If there is some kind of unexpected expense, suppose there are some such kind of defects that arrive, to solve them, you need some more budget or some more money. In local terms, if I say, you will need more money to do the things in the same timeline. Suppose the requirement one it is being changed, the logo. Client says, I don't want this logo, I don't want a different logo. So there is more work, but the time is limited. So in order to finish that work, we might need to hire another team who will work on but specifically changing this logo thing. So for that, the budget might be increased, cost could overrun. You know, these could be budget risks. Now, communication plan. When we will have which kind of meetings, weekly status meetings with stakeholders, monthly progress reports, daily stand-up meetings, all these kind of meetings. What will be our communication? How will we communicate? Through different kind of meetings and using different tools such as Confluence and Jira. Okay, we'll come to know about these different tools. Just know that there are some tools. Here we are getting to know about the first tool of ours that is Confluence. Then we will slowly, bit by bit, come to know about Jira and other uh, testing tools as well. Project success criteria. How will we know the project is a success? Deliver fully functional e-commerce website on time and within budget. Meet customer needs and requirements, increase sales and revenue for your store, enhance the customer experience, achieve high customer satisfaction and retention rates. So these are the criteria that we need to meet so that we can determine the project was a success. Okay. So, a lot of things going on over here. You don't need to memorize any of these things. I've just told you guys. No, just have the idea, like what things might the project plan might include, what things can there be in the CRS, goals, features, and limitations, constraints, and overview will be there. What things are there in the SRS? There will be functional requirements, non-functional requirements. Functional requirements, what things it will do. Non-functional requirements, anything aside from the functional things. Functional requirement documents, how it will do certain things. I know what it will do, but how exactly? This detailed version of the functional requirements is actually the functional requirement document. Now, going back to our process, I hope now you know that once the SRS and FRD are ready, it is now easier for the product owner to create the user stories. And based on the user stories, he can create the product backlog. All right. Why is it this? Why is this product backlog important? Because based on this product backlog, based on every user story here mentioned in the product backlog, business analyst will create a whole 100% complete user story, which includes scenarios, acceptance criteria, and the technical parts as well. Okay, so now coming on to the BRS part. Who creates it? Business analyst. What do we mean by technical story? Technical story means the technical part of the BRS. We work with the functional user stories. The technical user story or the technical stories are basically for the developers and the designers or the architects. Okay, the technical part. Suppose which tools or materials to use, somewhat like that. What is the format of a complete user story? It is written in a gherkin format. Gherkin. Always remember that word gherkin I mentioned you earlier. So now let's check out what a BRS actually look like. We have seen BRD till now. Now, if I go to version 1 from here, at first everything will look like this. Your store demo. If I drop down this your store uh, menu, I will see high level documents. What is in there? High level documents, project plan first of all. Then there is version 1. In the version 1, there are these things, BRD and your store requirements and other details. Let me see here. Now, from here, you will find the BRS. It can vary. It can be stored under different sections as well. In my company, we store BRS, product backlog, technical business requirements, specs, project document, environment based URL. All these things are under this one section, that is your store requirements and other details section. Okay. So now let me go to a particular, first of all, let me show you a product backlog actually. Before going to the BRS, you should know what a product backlog looks like, right? So let me show you a product backlog for this registration page. See, for only this registration page, there are other different pages as well. Login page, wish list, search, add to cart, checkout. But for only this registration page, there are multiple user stories mentioned over here. is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So as you can see, there are 6 user stories just for the registration page. So let's see what these user stories actually look like. Let me click on the first registration page user story. So here, the registration page, here is the the page we're making the user story on. Which feature is this user story based on? Can anyone tell me? You can pause the video if you want. Registration page is where we're working on, but the feature is different here. Feature is mandatory field. With in the registration page, suppose if I go to the registration page of Amazon, there will be some mandatory fields such as I need to provide my first and last name. I have to provide my email address or phone number. I have to provide my password. If I don't provide any of this information, I can't simply register. Okay. So the mandatory fields in the registration page. As a user, I want to see a clear instruction on the registration web page explaining which fields are mandatory. As a user, I need to know which fields are mandatory so that I can fill them out correctly. So for the next registration page, mandatory field 2, as a user, I want to be able to enter my first name, last name, email address, telephone, and password so that I can be able to create an account. Same thing written in a different way. This is also a user story. Okay. The feature we are working on here is the mandatory field. Like if you want to create your account on Amazon, it should give you a, sorry, let me go to the registration page once again. Here. So if I do not mention any of the information over here, it will show me an error like please fill out the email or please fill out your passwords section, something. Please give a password. There can be different criteria for password. You need to use capital letter, small letter, numbers, etc. Special characters, things like this. They can include that as well. If I put input something wrong in here, it should give me a message or type of notification that shows me I'm doing something wrong. So here they have already mentioned that all fields are required. So I cannot keep anything empty. I need to put valid information over here. So suppose I put an email or a phone number that doesn't exist actually. So it will show me an error message. So I need to check in different ways, putting the right ID, wrong password, putting the wrong ID, right password, or putting the right password and right ID, see if it logs in. When I put in something wrong information, suppose wrong ID or suppose wrong password, there could be a spelling mistake in the error message as well. So everything needs to be tested. So first thing first, in the product backlog, I told you guys the user stories are created and stored in such a manner. So this is the product backlog. For registration page, these are the user stories. If I go for another page, for login page, there could be some other user stories. For login page, as a new customer, I want to register an account so that I can access more features and save my information. Okay, from the point of view of a user or a customer. So there are different pages. Every page has their own multiple or single user stories. This creates a product backlog. Now I know what a product backlog looks like. From the product backlog, for each user story, I told you there is a 100% business, a 100% user story or a complete user story that is included in the BRS. If I keep this product backlog open, registration in the registration page, we saw 6 user stories, right? Now let's go to the BRS. This is the BRS. I hope you can see BRS, business requirement specification. I drop down this menu. There will be different BRS for each page. Registration page, login page, account page, which okay. So for registration pages BRS, as you can see, there is 600% complete user stories in the registration page for the BRS. Why? Because there were 6 user stories in the product backlog, basic user stories, incomplete user stories. And now the BA has took it and created the complete or 100% user stories from the basic user stories, and he has implemented every little detail. So it is not like only the business analyst creates it and publishes it to a conference. There will be a lot of discussions, meetings on these user stories. Business analyst will discuss it with the product owner, with the clients, see everything is fine or not. Here, the basic user story is mentioned. Scenario, there is a scenario mentioned. User accesses the registration page. Given the user navigates to the registration web page, when the user loads the registration web page, then the user should see a clear indication of which fields are mandatory to fill out. So this, in this manner, scenarios will be provided, acceptance criteria will be provided. The web page has a text saying if you already have an account with us, please log in at the login page, and a link to the login page will appear. This should be the expected behavior when you try to sign up, even after having a previous account. Then it will show an error message saying that if you already have an account with us, please log in at the login page. The registration web page should be clearly indicating the which fields are mandatory. If the user fills out mandatory fields incorrectly, an error message should be displayed explaining how to fill out the mandatory fields correctly. And there will be technical requirements mentioned in the last section as well. Okay, we don't have to look much throughout these. These are for the um, technical guys or the developers, we might say. Now, I have understood what is a BRS, 100% user story or complete user story. This is a complete user story with everything included here. User, basic user story, scenario, acceptance criteria, technical requirement, and there is another thing that is known as priority and severity. These new terms you'll need to have an understanding about, which will be priority and severity. These are determined in the pre-refinement session. Once the BRS is ready, till the technical requirement part of the BRS, every complete user story is given with a priority and a severity. Now, what is the difference between priority and severity and what they are actually? Let me make, tell you priority and severity. Okay, so first of all, let's focus on this thing over here for a little bit. In the pre-refinement session, suppose two features in the user story is ready. Sign in and sign up. Now, in in order to create the website, or web store, do I need to create the sign up button first or do I need to create the sign in button first? Obviously, we need to create the sign up button because if the user does not give any credential to create their account from the sign up or registration page, how will they actually sign in with their ID and password in the login or sign in page, right? So, sign up button needs to be created first. But here we are not discussing about which um, button we need to create first. We will uh, determine the priority and the severity of the buttons. For priority, first of all, let's go to priority. Priority means what will impact the customers the most. Impacts on the users or customers. Okay, depending on the impact on users and or customers, we determine the priority and severity. This is mainly focused on the impact or the severity on the business. We will determine priority from the customer's perspective and we will determine the severity from the business perspective. That is what I'm trying to mean. Now, let me show you with an example how we need to arrange the priority and severity. No, first of all, just let me explain this to you. This is not where we are deciding which one to uh, build first. We are trying to determine here if anything goes wrong with sign in, and at the same time, if anything goes wrong with the sign up button, by which thing the customers will be impacted more. Will they be more affected if they can't use the sign in button? Or will they be more affected if they can't use the sign up button? Here, the answer will be sign in. Because if, suppose you are a user, you are trying to create an account in Amazon, you cannot simply use the sign up button. What will it do? You haven't created any account yet. You have nothing to do with this Amazon store. You will simply go to another store, such as, for instance, you can take eBay or Walmart and search for your product in those stores and create an account over there. So it doesn't, bother the user or the customers that much. But suppose you have already created your account, you have given your ID, you have given your password, and when you are trying to go to the sign in page or giving the right ID and password, still you cannot sign in, it will be a more headache for you as a customer, right? Because now you have an account in there, you know what is the ID, you know what is the password, but why can't you access it? It will be a headache for you. It will create a more impact on the user as a user. So this is where the priority for sign in button is high and the priority for sign up button is low. For now, just know that high and low. Now, in our real work environment, for this mandatory field, user story, here the feature is mandatory field. Here the priority is defined by P0. So P0 is basically high priority. Then going serially in the numeric order after P0, then in priority there will be P1, then P2, or P3, P3. It could be uh, upside down as well. Like in some companies, you will see that the high priority is given by P5, then accordingly P4, P3, P2, P1, and P0. P0 would mean, as in some companies, it is a low priority. Okay, now by priority and severity, we are determining if anything goes wrong, what we need to fix first. Okay, what we need to fix first, how to handle things if anything goes wrong. Not what we will build first, but what we will fix first. Let me give you another example with the Amazon page. Okay, suppose the cart option here, you have selected your products, you have added them to the cart, but when you're trying to click on the cart option, it simply doesn't show you this page. You cannot go to the checkout page. So, will this affect you more, or this um okay, so where is it? Country. Suppose this option here, conditions of use. This option is not working. And on the other hand, at the same time, the cart button or the cart option is not working. Now, can you tell me which one do you need to fix first? Obviously, the cart option, because if you cannot click on the cart option, you cannot check out, you cannot buy the product. And this, as a customer, affects you as well as it affects the business as well. Because if you don't purchase any product from here, there will be no business for the clients. So it affects the business as well. So you need to determine what you need to fix first in any emergency situation. So in this pre-refinement session, after we have found our BRS, we are trying to make the BRS smart. By smart, I told you in the previous class, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Okay, so this will be included in the slides afterwards the class. I don't want to go into too much details of it. Just know that we are in this pre-refinement session. Everyone is giving their opinion how to make it even more efficient, how to make it even more smart. You know. So if I give you another example, suppose in this, suppose this is my web application. In this web application, the spelling of the logo is wrong. Okay, spelling of the logo is wrong, and on the other hand, there is a problem with the login option, right? Now, can you anyone tell me which one needs to be created first? Which should be uh, priority higher, and which one should have lower priority? It is the login option that we need to fix first because it will have the higher priority. Suppose P0. But in case of severity, it is not as severe. But the logo, the spelling of the logo, it is impacting the business. How? Suppose some customer goes to the web application to your online store and buys a product. But in that case, your brand marketing will be done incorrectly because when anyone will search your name from the logo, they will end up searching the wrong name because there is wrong spelling provided in your web store on the logo. So they will search it on Google, they wouldn't be able to find you. The business will be impacted. The severity of this logo is high, but the severity of this login option is low. But when we need to fix something, we need to see which one has the higher priority. So in the same example, we can see logo has, like, if the logo has S 0, for severity we use S, and for priority here we have P0. Now for the severity of the login button, let's say the severity for this one is 2, and the priority for the logo, say it is P2, for example. Okay, so here we can see both have an issue at the same time. Now we need to determine which one we need to fix first. So based on the priority, we will need to fix the login first, then we can fix the logo. Logo can wait, but if the customers cannot log in to my online store or online web application, they simply cannot browse through products and let alone buying the products or purchasing it. The business will be impacted. Okay, so this is how we actually determine priority and severity. I want you to read the slides very thoroughly so you can have a proper and better understanding of this topic. All right. I hope you guys are clear about the priority and severity. For each user story, 100% user story that the business analyst creates, every time he calls a meeting, suppose for the first time he created 2 user stories. Then he created these 4 user stories. So for the first time he created 2 user stories, there will be a pre-refinement session based on these 2 user stories. When these 2 user stories have passed the pre-refinement session, business analyst starts working on the other user stories, and these keep on coming to the process every time they are created by and finalized by the business analyst. So in the pre-refinement session, every user story or every ERS is made smart. Okay, everyone puts their opinions on it. Everyone says what could be their strategy. Everything is discussed in this pre-refinement session, and once everything is done, BRS becomes smart. They also talk about what could they need, like how many days they might need, how many points. I did mention you about story points, right, in the previous class. Story points, if you can remember. Okay, one story point is equal to 8 hours, right? So they also talk about how many points they will need in order to make and test the user stories, how many points they will need. So everything that is decided, everything that is fixed in these pre-refinement sessions, these things are noted down by the scrum master notes all the decisions that are made here in the pre-refinement session, in all the meetings. There are some uh, outcomes, right? Suppose the user story is fixed based on the opinions of the testers and developers. So what was fixed in that particular meeting? What outcome was there of the meeting. These things are noted down and documented by the Scrum Master. And these decisions, these important decisions that are made, important decisions that are made in these pre-refinement sessions are known as minutes of meetings. There was something called story point in the previous class I mentioned. Now I want you to remember this minutes of meeting. What is this? All the important decisions that are made in the pre-refinement sessions and refinement sessions are noted down as minutes of meetings. Who does this? Scrum Master. Clear? I hope this is clear. So everyone starts to think about how much time they would need. They discuss about if everything is right in the business requirement specification, in the 100% user stories. If everything is fine, okay, they will pass this user story for the next step. So, can anyone remember what happens between the time of pre-refinement session and refinement session? There is I already mentioned to you guys, there's approximately 1 to 2 weeks of time between pre-refinement session and refinement session. In the pre-refinement session, we have already told that the business requirement specification is made smart and all the opinions of the team members are taken so that by smart we meant, I'm telling this to you again, everything mentioned in the 100% user story should be specific, measurable. You should be able to measure things, achievable. Nothing impossible should be mentioned in the user story. Relevant. Everyone should have relevant tasks. Developers should there do coding. Testers should do the testing. Time bound. It should be uh, done within specific time limit. Okay. So in this gap between the pre-refinement session and refinement session, I told you guys there are different meetings that the like developers will have their own walkthrough meetings in their teams, right? Informal meetings, not formal meetings, informal meetings to decide um, how they will work. For example, how much time they will need. Okay, they think about these things, they plan everything, they start making their documents, their coding documents. Developers have their own set of documents. As part of testing team, what we do in this frame of time, we start on creating our own plans, our test documents. Now there are different types of test documents. There are test strategy, test plan. These are documents that we make and maintain in our testing, testing team, in the QA team. So when do we make all these plans and strategies? We make them during this 2 weeks of gap that we get between pre-refinement and refinement session. Okay, so let's see what these test strategy document and test plan documents actually look like. So I want you to notice something over here. There is something you might not be familiar with. Under the BRS section, the business requirement specifications, and before the product backlog, there is something here that is named epics. What do we mean by epics? Epics is nothing much actually. It is just like a folder where you keep different types of things inside. Suppose you have a big uh, cupboard or an closet. In that closet, there are some drawers. In one drawer, suppose for girls, you keep your makeup. In another drawer, you might keep your perfumes. In another drawer, you might keep your watches. So, same type of things, you try to keep it in a separate, organized drawer, right? So, in this same manner, these epics, by epics, we simply mean folders for different set of things. Now, as testers, there will be multiple team of testers such as QA team 1, QA team 2, QA team 3. Suppose we are a part of QA team 2. Now, if I focus on the Epic 1, Epic 1 consists of the registration, login, search, add to cart, and checkout options. So, if we are working in the QA team 2, we will be handling things regarding registration page, login, search, add to cart, and checkout. These will be the things we will be responsible for testing. Okay, QA team 2. Other teams might be assigned for other things, such as for navigation, QA team 1 has been assigned. For footer section, QA team 3 has been assigned. Okay, let's see for us. For test strategy, what do we have in the test strategy document? This is for our QA team 2. This is created by the QA lead actually, assisted by other QAs. Obviously, the QA members will assist the QA lead to create this whole document. Every update from our QA team will be provided by the QA lead. If everyone starts giving updates, everyone starts giving opinions, that will be a hodgepodge type of situation, you know. So anything we need to update, any opinion we want to give to the developers or the product owners, we simply let our QA lead know about it, and they are the ones who communicate with the other team members. Okay, they create this test strategy. If anything needs to be changed here, everyone does not make their independent move. If anything needs to be changed here, they discuss it with the QA lead. We will discuss it with the QA lead, and the QA lead will update these documents accordingly. All right. What do we have in this test strategy document actually? This is reviewed by everyone. Developer reviews it, architect reviews it, all the QA members, business analysts, reviewed by almost everyone. We have the FRD here. Man, okay, let's go through our test strategy document. First, there will be the purpose of this test strategy document. Why? Why are we actually creating this test strategy document? It is Epic specific project test strategy plan. It includes a part of test plan itself. It gets updated with test plan. Okay. This document outlines the test strategy for your store e-commerce website project. Why are we creating? What is the purpose of making this test strategy document? Then we will see project and release overview. Like the registration and search functionality should be ready within 2 months, right? It should be ready and released within 2 months. Okay. We have did a lot of meetings, lot of discussions on this during this 2 weeks of time, and based on our meetings and discussions, we create this strategy document. When do we create it? Between the time in pre-refinement and refinement session. Okay, don't make any mistakes in here. Okay, add to cart and checkout should be ready and released After 3 months, and payment gateway integration, I mean the payment option, how will they be able to pay the customers? Will they be able to pay through bank or through card or through direct cash? How will they actually pay? These payment methods get under the payment gateway integration section. So, project release and overview. Overall test objectives. What are the objectives? Why are we making this test strategy document? What is our exact goal? So, for overall test objectives for your store project are to ensure that the website is easy to use and navigate for customers, secure and reliable, compatible with different webs, browsers and devices, compliant with industry standards and regulations. Okay, project specific test objectives. Now we are working on a specific project that is an e-commerce web application. It could be a different domain, such as a banking web application. So then the test objectives mentioned here, that might be these might be changed, but overall test objectives will be the same. Okay, these will change depending on the client's requirements, but in in some small companies, you will see they create just one test strategy document like this for hundreds of projects. They just keep updating the test plan document, the test strategy document for like hundreds of projects. They keep it the same. They don't change it for a lot of time. They keep working with this test strategy and they keep on updating the test plan. Okay, when we go to the test plan, we will see that other things that are mentioned here in the test strategy document. Functional testing approach. How will we actually conduct our testing? First of all, we need to review the requirements and user stories, create the test cases and scenarios, execute the test of cases, then defect tracking and reporting. This is an important point. You need to know. What do we mean by defect tracking and reporting? Suppose while you are testing any certain feature such as login or payment option or the cart option, you might say anything, you found a bug or a defect, basically an irregularity or unusual thing that was not supposed to happen, that is a bug. Now what do you do? Do you leave it like that? No, there is a procedure. There is a proper procedure. How do you need to deal with it? First of all, we need to take a screenshot, and in the Jira tool that we'll be using, we'll need to put specific details of how and where and when we found the defect. We will input everything there. We'll also provide ID number accordingly, and we will also provide screenshot of it. Okay, with date and time mentioned. So these things that we do upon finding a defect in testing process, this is known as defect tracking and reporting. How do we actually deal with it? Which web browsers and devices we will use to test this whole project? Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Apple Safari, iPhone, Android, all these things we will test it on. In scope and out of scope items, this will come handy. Suppose in scope item, most of the things should be in scope. It suppose if the developer creates the sign in option and the sign up option, suppose the developer creates the sign in option, but you haven't signed up yet, you didn't make any registration yet. So, how will you test the sign in option? In this case, developer will share some demo ID and passwords with you. They will tell you that we have set up everything. You just need to test if everything is working correctly or not. So these things, you can say those things will be your test data based on which you can test your certain features. Now, suppose in the Amazon, if I click on gift cards or maybe today's deals, I need to check or test if this coupons option here is working fine or not. But in order to go to this coupon option, first I need this today's deal button, right? If this is not created, I won't have the coupons option. Now, in order to check the coupons, if everything is working fine in the coupon section or not, you will need to have this coupon button, right? But sadly, if if you see that when you click on this today's deals option, there is no such coupon button here mentioned in this page. So then how will you actually test if it is working perfectly or not? So we will let the developers know about this problem. Suppose uh, even though we let them know multiple number of times, they didn't fix this, or for some reason, because of the sprint, they didn't have the time to fix this. So, as we did not have the coupon button itself to test it, this thing can be included in out of scope items because it was out of scope. I didn't have the coupon button to test it. How will I test it? I let the developers know, but it wasn't fixed and the sprint got over. So it went out of scope. So later on, there will be another sprint uh, decided in order to fix these issues. So these things we will know more in depth. Just know there are in scope items, the things you have available in your hands, such as all the test data, all the documents, everything that you need. So those things will be in scope items. High risk. What could be the risks here? Payment gateway integration could be a risk, potential risk. User data, privacy and security. Suppose the data is lost, what will happen then? Compatibility issue with different devices and web browsers. If you see that your web store is running on Android, but it is not running on iOS, that is a problem. That could be a risk. Okay. So test approach and objectives include the phases where we will conduct our testings, such as phase one unit testing. These will be done in the dev environment. Integration testing, system integration testing, UAT, performance testing, security testing, different phases of testing, right? Project specific testing approach. This actually means every time the one user story is created, the BRS related to that user story. Suppose in the product backlog for the registration page, this is a user story. The mandatory field for the mandatory field feature, there is a user story. And for that user story, there is a corresponding BRS. BRS here by BRS, we are not actually meaning the whole document with all the user stories prepared. No, we're talking about the 100% or complete user stories, including the acceptance criteria, scenario, technical part, everything that I've told you before, with the severity and priority. Okay, so these things are constantly updated here. It is not like it is created once and left like that. No, throughout the refinement sessions, pre-refinement sessions, every time anything needs to be updated, it is updated over here. Okay, it is constantly being updated. Test environments, which tools and frameworks we might be using, such as Selenium, Jmeter, Postman, We'll come on to this later on. Test data and test scenarios, test environments for each testing phase, a continuous integration and delivery pipeline. We'll get to know about them. So basically, what will be the environments for us to test, uh, conduct our testings? Test deliverables. This thing is important. Test deliverables means the following test deliverables will be produced as a part of the testing process. Our stat In our strategy, we are also determining what will be what will we get after doing all these things, after conducting the whole testing process. What are the things that we will get? First of all, we will get the test plan, we'll get the test cases, we'll get the test scripts. Upon conducting the test, after doing the test, we will make test reports if it was pass or fail or something like that. What were the defects? We will maintain it in the Jira defects reports. So that I mentioned before, what type of defect did you get? When did you get? How did you get it? Time and date with screenshot. These things are actually included in the defect reports. We will come on to those. Just know these things. Test environments, approach, high risk, in scope, out scope item test, like which browsers will be using, functional testing approach. Everything here will be mentioned step by step. High level test assumption or dependencies. Assumptions that I've just said, all team members have necessary skills and resources to complete the project. And this means you have all the tools ready or the resources ready, right? Or there are sufficient number of testers available or not. These things can be under assumptions. The website will be hosted on a stable and reliable server. Okay. Dependencies. The web design and functionality will be based on the user stories and requirements. So if the user story and requirements are not created, the website design and functionality cannot be created. And so we cannot also test the features. So in this sense, the design and functionality are depending on the user stories and requirements. This also has to be kept in our mind. Constraints. The project must be completed with a specific time frame and budget. Limitations. What things we have to keep in mind. Now, going for the Epic's test plan, same, it is created by the QA lead, assisted by the other QA, reviewed by everyone else, approvers and sign off. Who approves this test plan document? Product owner, manager, the manager of the company, and the product manager or the project manager, you could say. Okay, we have to take approval of these persons in order to finalize the document. So in the test plan documents here, you will also see there is an overview which will give you a short, brief idea of what that document is. Test objectives, scopes, all right, the schedule. So in the test schedule, we need to update everything, start date, end date, when did we start planning the test, when did we start designing the test design document, when did we start it, when did we end it. Throughout the whole process, every time we start these things, testing phases, we need to update these dates accordingly. So this is also one way that it is constantly being updated. It is not like a fixed or a constant document. No, it keeps being updated every time. Every time there is a change noticed or there is a progress in the whole process. Okay, so atomic test data. For test data that I've mentioned previously, demo or dummy customer data like phone number, including name, address, driving license, credit card, will be provided to us by the developers. Okay. So when they give us the test data, based on the test data, we can actually conduct our testing. So test data is needed. If we don't have test data, we simply cannot execute our tests. Test execution will be carried out in the following phases: smoke testing, functional testing, regression testing. We will come to know about these things, about the execution part. Defect management, how we manage the defects. So defects will be identified and logged using Jira. I mentioned earlier there's a tool named Jira where we store all this type of information, what defects we got and whatnot. Okay. Other teams will be also using this tool. Defects will be assigned a severity level and a priority based on their uh, okay, the defects will be assigned a severity level and a priority level based on their impact on the system and the users. Okay, severity level will be determined based on the impact on the system or business. Priority level will be determined on the basis of impact on the users. I've told you, right? So defects will be tracked through the resolution with regular updates provided to them. Entry criteria, exit criteria. This is an important thing for you to understand. What are those things? See, the code for the new functionalities is complete and has been deployed to the testing environment. Like entry criteria for us, in order to start the testing, first of all, we need the function itself, the feature. Like if we go to like in the environment based URLs, if I go to dev environment URLs, okay, there is two sections created for now here under the environment based URLs. What are these actually? Let me show you. If I go to dev environment URLs, you will see once the developer has uh, created the registration page totally, they will share such a link to us testers. Because without the registration page, how will we actually conduct our testing? Where will we do the testing? So for that, we need to have the feature in our hand. So this is how we will have the feature in our hand. Suppose if I click on this URL, it will show me this registration page that the developer has created. Now he will provide me with demo email address and passwords. He definitely let me know that these are ID and passwords that I've already set up. You just need to check if they are working correctly or not, if they are showing the error messages properly or not. This is our task. So, in order to do all these things, we need to have this particular URL, right? That the dev just gave us. So, this URL must be deployed. The deployment phase that I've told you about, deploying, what is deployment? So they have to first of all write all the codes and deploy it for us to test in the testing environment. The test environment is set up and ready to use. That means all the test cases, test scripts, test steps, everything has to be ready and ready to go actually. The test cases have been created and reviewed. Test data is ready as required. Okay? Test data is ready. Test cases are created and reviewed. Reviewed by who? By the whole team and also signed off by the development manager, product owner, and product manager. Okay, this is the entry criteria for us to actually start our testing. What things we will need? We need to. These are like check checklist. checklist for us to, if I give you an example, if you're going on a picnic, you can make a checklist for yourself. If you took the mat, if you took the lunch basket, if you took the food, if you took the gas in the car, everything that is related for you to have a proper picnic, right? So this is like the entry checklist, the entry criteria. The exit criteria is also like a checklist. Suppose you have gone to visit some place new. You have went for a tour. So you have decided that you need to visit five exquisite places for your tour to be successful. So, like that, you'll need to ensure all test cases have been executed and passed. Executed and passed. If executed and there was a defect, it does not meet the exit criteria. It's still in the testing environment and in the dev environment. If there is a defect, you need to like any defect identified during testing have been logged in Jira, assigned to the development team. Our work will be done once we have identified what the defect is, log it or input what we have found as defect in Jira and also assign it to the development team. If we keep it till there, till logging into the Jira, but we did not assign it to the corresponding development team who were supposed to fix this, our job is not done. We cannot move this functionality to the next phase. So website is ready for release. This is also an exit criteria. Okay. Test deliverables, there will be outcomes of this whole testing process as well, as we've seen in the test strategy document, test plan document, test case document, test report document, defect log, test closure report. Test closure report, what does this mean? Everything what we have done till now for this functionality, how we try to test it, when did we try to test it, what defects we got, if it was passed or not, if we got the defect, did we assign it to the developers or not, if everything that comes on as results of our testing process, right? That should be included in the test closure report. Risks and assumptions. The website may not perform optimally under peak and load conditions, leading slow responses times and system crashes. There may be compatibility issues with certain browsers and operating systems. There may be security vulnerabilities that need to be addressed. The testing team, suppose what can be the security vulnerabilities? If someone puts the wrong ID and password and somehow they get into the corresponding ID, that will be a breach of security, right? So if there is something wrong in the security that needs to be addressed, the testing team assumes that all necessary testing resources and tools will be available as required. So these are the things that are in our test strategy and test plan documents. When do we create these things? After pre-refinement, before refinement. All right. Okay. Lots of knowledge for today's class. Now, I will not give you any more headaches. I will try to recap what we had learned in our previous class. So, everyone tries to determine how many days, like time, how much time they will need to, testers will need to test the user story that has been created. Developers will determine their time, how much time they will need to make the functionality or feature. Upon discussing everything in their teams within these 2 weeks and making all the required documents, strategy, test plan documents, Then they arrange another refinement session or refinement meeting. What happens in the refinement meeting? Nothing much actually. Everyone does the effort estimation. If we can remember the exact terminology, everyone does their effort estimation. Like they thought about how much time they will need, what documents they need to create, everything. Documents they have created, that is fine. But about the timing situation, they have discussed it between themselves about how much time they will need, but they need to declare it in front of everyone. Testers, you need to declare their decision about the time, like how many story points they will need for estimation. This thing happens in the refinement session, like how many story points will be needed, things like this. Then also, team identifies potential roadblocks and dependencies in this case. Suppose there are some dependencies, some roadblocks they might face in if like if the developers take 10 days of time to make the feature, and suppose that the testers say that they need 7 days of time to test the feature, it will take like 10 plus 7 is 17. It's more than 2 weeks. Then now this is a blocker. We need to make sure this is ready within 2 weeks of time. I mean 14 days of time, right? So they try to identify this kind of potential roadblocks and dependencies. If it is fixable, they try to fix it as well. And then when the pre-refinement session is done, they get 1 or 2 days of time. This time days, not weeks, 1 or 2 days of time. Meanwhile, this time, what actually happens? Um, Different teams cross over with each other, like the dev, the architects, the testers. Different meetings have the external walkthrough meetings. Till now, before the refinement session, the developers had their own walkthrough meetings. Architects had their own walkthrough meetings. Testers had their own walkthrough meetings. They created the test plan and test strategy documents. Dev and architects have their own documents to create. And after the refinement session, the teams have walkthrough meetings among themselves. Crossover in different teams happens throughout this time. And they actually tried to come to a mutual understanding, like who does what and how much time they will need. So, what types of meetings held in the middle of these two meetings? The the question is, what types of meetings are held in the middle of these two meetings? Which two meetings? Refinement and sprint planning. After refinement, before sprint planning, there are a lot of walkthrough informal meetings. Okay, that happen in between different teams so that they can come up with a mutual understanding of how much time they will or they might be needing. Now, coming to the sprint planning phase, the actual task where we think about what to build first. Now, if you can see from here, which of these three options need to be built first? Sorry for my mistake over here. This should be like sign up, not the sign in button, it should be the sign up button. Let me to no sign. Let me just up. Okay, I'm gonna do. Okay, let's continue like this. Which button should be created first from these three options? Contact us, sign up button, login button. I hope your answer should be sign up button should be created first because the registration has to be done, right? In order to make or go to the login page, we need to have the registration page. If we don't have any registration option, how will we log in, right? So this is why login is created later, but sign up is created first. But in case of priority and severity, login goes up in the priority as we have mentioned. Login has a higher priority, but sign up has a like lower priority. Okay. But in case of building this, which one to build first, which one to put in the first sprint, we will definitely put sign up or registration page in the first sprint. So, according to my knowledge here, and I hope it will be your response as well, for first sprint, we will put on sign up. For second sprint, we will put on login. And third sprint, we will put on contact us. This is just a mere example, okay? Now, as we have decided which one to create in the first sprint, which one to create in the second sprint, which one to create in the third sprint. Before starting the sprint, team cross-checks the entire criteria to get into the sprint actually. They've checked their own entry criteria. We check our own entry criteria. As we've seen in the entry criteria, in the test plan document, in the epics, the epic one test plan document, we had seen the entry criteria. So now, before entering the sprint, finally, actually, for the last time, the team cross-checks the entire criteria, entry criteria to get into the sprint. So team confirms if entry criteria is fulfilled or not. Test plan created. Everything should be checked. So test plan created, test data ready, design doc ready, FRS ready, all tools ready, Jira properly lined ready. So once everything is checked and ready in the end entry criteria, then onwards only dev environment starts and initially the sprint starts. So suppose based on the sprint that we just planned, based on only three buttons, sign up, sign in, and contact us button, right? So suppose in this first sprint, this is sprint number one, it is for 2 weeks. We have put sign up or registration up here. So once the developer has created the sign up page, they need to deploy. Once they create the sign up page, they deploy the URL of the sign up page. This one, deploy the URL for the sign up page. From this deploy phase, us testers gather this URL and start testing accordingly. Now, my question is, developers start on creating the sign up button, then on sprint two, on second week, like 2 weeks. This is 2 weeks. So this should take 2 weeks. This should be third and fourth week, and this should be fifth and sixth week, right? So log in for the second sprint, contact us for the third sprint. Now, when the developer is writing codes and making the user story one, for example, the user story one is based on the sign up feature. What will be the testers doing? Meanwhile, this time, will they be only sitting around by themselves? Or what will they be doing? Is it a lazy time for us to spend? No, actually. While suppose these are three user stories here that are created: user story one, user story two, user story three. 100%, all of them are 100% created. So there might be more user stories, obviously. There could be user story 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, could be hundreds of user stories, right? So what the business analyst is doing during this moment, when the sprint starts, developer starts making the codes or writing the codes. Here, business analyst starts another same process for, like, till now, suppose we have gone through this whole process for user story, sorry, user story 1, 2, and 3. Now, after all these things, user story 1, 2, 3 have reached this sprint start stage or the dev environment. Once they have reached their the business analyst goes back to his place and he starts working on user story 4, 5, 6. It could vary. He could work on only two user stories. He could work on the rest of the user stories. It depends on the complexity. So he creates another same process like this for the business requirement specification on the user story 4, 5, and 6. So this happens parallelly when the development is being done for the user story 1, 2, and 3. In the same time, requirement analysis is also going on. Pre-refinement is also going on. Meetings are happening. Okay, no one is sitting around here. Everything is happening parallelly. Everything is happening parallelly, and once those user stories, I mean user story 4, 5, and 6, reach the development environment, same process follows. Business analyst goes on creating the rest of the user stories and continues in the same process, right? So this parallel process that I am talking to you guys about, see, these things are happening parallelly, right? I hope you understand what parallel means actually. Here there's a process going, here there's another process going. Both are the same process, just based on different user stories. Each time the business analyst deploys a user story as complete user story, the whole team sits down and starts the whole process once again. The SRS, you know, the SRS FRD, these things are created, but the user stories are being created one by one. So as they are being created, the developers instantly start working on it, and then the others user stories follow along. So this is how the parallel method that I've taught you guys about is known as agile methodology. Name is agile and it is a methodology. Now, an important point for you to notice over here, whenever we are we are imagining in the pre-refinement session, if we can actually test whatever it is written in the business requirement specification or not. So this testing, we are not actually doing hands-on, literally, practically. No, we first of all think about it. Is it actually testable or not? Can I conduct the testing based on this story and business requirements specification or not? So at the time being, when we are doing this whole testing in, think about it if we can test it or not. It is called verification. Like it is known by a term that is verifying or verification. And when you actually have your hands on the test plans and all the documents, when you will be conducting the tests here in the dev environment, here you are not verifying anymore. At this point, this will be known as validation. So for us testers, this is a testing we do. It is known as dynamic testing. And as for verification, for us QA testers, we also have a name for this. It is known as static testing. So I've already explained what is the agile process. If you can answer in any interview with these terminologies that I've mentioned in these three particular classes, there will be no interviewer who can resist to understand, or they will be bound to know that you are a professional who has worked on different kinds of real life projects, and you are a senior or a person with at least 6 to 7 years of experience. Okay, so I have mentioned agile methodology to you guys. To end today's class, I would just like to give you a little bit information that is left. That would be, there is another type of, not is, there was another type of methodology that was maintained previously before agile method was started being used. It was a waterfall methodology. So the idea is as such, if we think about of kind of stairs like this, if we think about a waterfall, like how do waterfalls look like? The water goes down through the hills or the canals, something like this. Waterfalls. Water goes down this way, but is there any way for the water to go up to the starting point? No, right? There is no way for the water to go and do something from the back point. So this is a kind of method that was followed previously, and it is a very time consuming method because if you think of it like this, when the client starts creating the CRS, they like provide you the CRS, taking the CRS product backlog. No, the product owner starts creating user stories. There might be 50, 100, or maybe 500 user stories in a project, right? So to create 500 user stories, maybe the product owner himself might take 1 year of time, okay? And also to provide the product backlog, he took 1 year of time to create it by himself, right? Then he gives it to the BA to create the BRS. Here, if the BA is solely creating the BRS by himself and no one else is there, so they might or he might take another year of time to create this BRS document totally with all the user stories, including 50 to 100 or no matter how many user stories there are. He needs to create them. So once the user stories are created, then the teams are hired to work on them. Now they don't have any say in these BRS documents because they have been created through 1 year period of time. They just have to get into the project and start building whatever there is in the BRS. They don't have any say in it. So when the developers are hired, they make the particular feature. When the developers take their time to make all the features, complete the whole website, you know, then it takes for them to like create the website, suppose 2 years. I'm not kidding around. If they have to create it from scratch to finish all by themselves, then they might need to take a whole year of time because now the user stories are not being sent over one by one. They have all the user stories in the BRS. Now they need to create the whole thing from scratch to finish. After creating the whole thing, then the testers will be hired to test the thing. So if there is anything wrong in the BRS, if there is something missing in the product backlog, there is no such way to go back and fix these issues. If we need to fix these issues, once the testing is done, once the all the test reports have been delivered, then they need to let the developers know about it. Developers wait for the business analyst to fix and uh, solve the issues for them to give the BRS. Then they take another more, suppose half year, 6 months, 4 months time to fix a certain bug or issue. So what I'm trying to mean here is this is a whole lot of time consuming method that was used in the past, but now that we are working in the agile methodology, 99% of the office environments follow this methodology because it saves your time. It is easily maintainable. If you need to fix something, you can easily fix anything in between. So there are some disadvantages in the agile methodology as well. Suppose frequently changing the requirements. Suppose in the middle, like 50% work is done, and after that, the client comes up and changes the requirement. I don't want something like this. I want it like that. Client changes requirement. So for that reason, there could be more bugs in the system, more problems that could show up. But in the method, the clients cannot change the requirements at any time they want. Once what is done, it is done. They cannot change it anymore. After everything is built, created, and tested, then if they want to add another feature or make any correction, they need to start from the very top. There is no other way. Going here, for instance, and fix something. No, that cannot happen. They need to start from the top and finish it to the end. So this is why it is less confusing because the requirement does not change. It is more stable, but it takes more time. But here in agile methodology, the advantage could be it saves time, it is maintainable, you can fix or solve any issue at any time you want, but it creates more problems when the requirements are frequently changed or in some scenarios like this. So this is all for today's class. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I want you to go through this whole process and all the things that I've shown you till now from the class recording so you can have proper understanding of every topic I've just covered in this class. Thank you for today. Have a good day. Goodbye.